I am talking about a band from the 80s that I love. The 80s, a decade that spawned the hair metal band, the glam rock band. There were a lot of great bands from the 80s: Motley Crue, Rat, Killer Dwarfs, Kick Axe, Helix, Poison, all called hair metal. Bon Jovi was considered a hair metal band at the time. Whitesnake was considered a hair metal band in the 80s, although they'd had a career prior to the 80s, throughout the 70s, as a blues based hard rock band. Um, but that was the decade of the hair. Look, everybody wore that moniker. I had hair back then, long, curly, wild, crazy hair. I looked a little bit like Weird Al Yankovic. Um, it was the 80s, man. I loved it, and I loved all those bands. A band I loved from that time, Cinderella. First of all, it took a lot of balls to call your band Cinderella. It worked out for them. If you listen to Cinderella, they sound 70s blues, rock, Aerosmithy. They're not a hair band, but they fell into that category then. That first album had, Somebody Save Me, Shake Me, Night Songs. That was the name of the album. That was the title track. Push Push, Back Home Again, In From the Outside, Once Around the Ride. So many great songs on that first album. The second album came out, Long Cold Winter. Gypsy Road, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone, Coming Home, phenomenal. Third record, Shelter Me, Heartbreak Station, Sick for the Cure, One for Rock and Roll. So many great tracks on that album. The fourth album, and this is when they started kind of losing their traction, Hot and Bothered comes off of that album. I believe that might have been in a Wayne's World movie. Um, the albums are great. They've got 4 studio albums, a couple of compilations with new tracks, a couple of live albums. Disbanded, and unlike a lot of bands from that period, they never got back together, which is unfortunate. Tom Kiefer does have a great solo career, still performs those Cinderella songs proudly. Um, Badass. Cinderella is a badass band. I love them. Uh, I wish, they would get back together, at least for one more record. Doesn't seem like that's ever going to happen. But, I treasure those 4 studio albums they did, and the compilations and live albums. I mean, that's all we've got. That's what we have to live with. And Tom Kiefer, like I said, with his solo career, is putting out some good music. Um, but I am a diehard Cinderella fan, always will be. Check them out. They'll take you back to the 80s. Call them glam, call them hair band. Doesn't really matter. They kick ass, they rock and roll. That's the way it is. See you next time.